So the Xbox news keeps on coming, and there is a lot of interesting things going on. In particular, not exactly great news, but I do think that we're starting to see maybe the other end of it, and that's probably for the better. I want to see how Xbox can, shine beyond the negative stuff. They're going to have to do the negative stuff. It's going to have to happen. It literally is what it is at this point. But at the same point in time, you've got to look past that and say, okay, they're going to get past that. I mean, look, if we just hung up on, everything that these companies did that was bad and they never recovered for it, I mean, would we be looking at the Switch and Switch 2 success? No, we'd be kind of screwed, really, to be quite honest with you about it. But still, things persist, and we kind of look at how these things continue to happen and how gamers continue to kind of look at things and maybe how we kind of react to things, and even PlayStation, right? There's a lot of PlayStation dudes that are on me, and they're like, well, Microsoft sucks. They're not going to be able to do anything in gaming, this, that, and the other thing. And the funny part to me is like, look, you can sit there and talk about the 3% accountability or whatever, and that's fine. But the truth of the matter is that was stuff that was covering basically, that was totally just covering the situation with the last couple of quarters, right? They were actually making money and had a positive impact for years prior to that. I mean, they've had some bad choices and things like that thrown up in front of them, but it's not like it's always been that way. So, keep the bad with the good. There's going to be stuff that happens as bad. There's going to be stuff that happens as good. Right now, according to this latest leak, this is supposedly, but take it with a grain of salt, internal leaks and industry reporting suggest up to 5 studios are going to be closing or spin off, sweeping restructures and cost cuttings. While no closure has been officially confirmed, multiple studios are reportedly in negotiations with Microsoft to become independent in order to avoid being shut down completely. So I'm going to go over these, and some of them obviously had been ones that we'd heard before, but we'll have to see if this works out. At the end of the day, I don't know if this is going to be the truth or whatever the case may be, so we have to kind of keep that I guess more or less, just as gamers, we have to kind of sit there and just take it and see what happens. So we'll see. But according to this, 5 game studios are closing down based on an anonymous post, which requires verified Microsoft employment. The anonymous poster posted this: Xbox Game Studios equals cooked. Big week coming up for Xbox Game Studios. Full studio closures for Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, the Flight Simulator team, the World's Edge team, which does Age of Empires, and Double Fine. Says roughly 1,000 people were laid off across these studios. Halo is safe. Gears 2, most of the layoff numbers come from entire studio closures. Additional layoffs are expected in services and other teams, but no further full studio closures are anticipated outside the listed ones. Core platforming, engineering roles are said to be safe as well. So the interesting thing about this is, for me, when I look at it, we have this situation where it lists Flight Simulator team, but Flight Simulator is developed by an independent studio called Asobo Studio, which isn't owned by Microsoft. And again, the proposed community note says World's Edge is not at risk for closure and no Xbox studio closures. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough, but apparently on this site you have to be able to be verified to work for Microsoft to be able to post there, right? And so, again, Ninja Theory, which is a Cambridge, England-based developer, they did the Hellblade franchise. They're reportedly closing down. They recently revealed a new game. They are allegedly exploring buyout deals to operate outside Microsoft. Double Fine is a San Francisco-based studio behind Psychonauts and Kiln. Is also in negotiations to go independent and thwart closure. Now, Double Fine supposedly had a situation where they were in their contract saying and stating that they were allowed to kind of shut down or go their own way if Microsoft tried to close them. So we do have that to kind of look at and say, okay, well, that's something that they can be able to kind of do, or whatever the case may be. And listen, I'm hoping that none of them get to close down. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm all about. While I think it's foolish for Microsoft to own these smaller studios anymore, or even in the first place, I don't want them to close down or anything. Compulsion Games, who's a Montreal-based team known for We Happy Few and South of Midnight, apparently they're negotiating with Xbox to spin off as an indie studio. World's Edge is rumored, alongside other internal studios, by community and corporate platform leaks, as potentially facing major downscaling or absorption. And it says, according to this, Microsoft Flight Simulator team, additional support studios, internal community leaks on platforms like Blind have also placed other first-party teams in the crosshairs for potential downsizing or restructuring. These rumors follow on a public memo from Xbox leadership demanding that Xbox division become a sustainable business after facing multiple consecutive quarters of falling console hardware revenues and operating with slim margins. For context, the recent Studio Apocalypse rumor, a recap of Microsoft's earlier consolidation efforts. Again, this is they've suffered for a couple quarters. I always say, like, who didn't expect this stuff to happen in the first place, right? If you were a Xbox owner or Xbox fan or whatever, we kept seeing the hardware fail. We kept seeing these horrible decisions being made, and that's probably one of the things that, honestly, as just fans, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, this is really, really weird that this has kind of happened the way that it has, and there's not really going to be any way for Microsoft to kind of survive a lot of this blowback and stuff, unfortunately. So again, we'll have to see what happens. I do feel like Microsoft can definitely, do some things that are going to be looked at in a negative way due to the way that, gaming is. Like, people are just going to do that with gaming. There's nobody that's going to sit there and look at video games and go, oh, well, look at Microsoft. They've really come a long way and they've come back strong or whatever. Like, I don't think it'll work that way. I think, honestly, we're just going to be having to kind of sit there and see what happens. I hope that the studios can save themselves. I don't think that it would make much sense to go out there and have a situation where, as a company, you're paying these studios, and I've said this multiple times, you're paying these studios to be open for 6 years at a clip, and at the end of the day, they're only creating games that people even in the subservice don't want to play. Like, that was always kind of foolish. I mean, listen, yeah, make games that make sense for the base or whatever, the fan base, but it's like, like, some of these people will just realistically have the worst ideas I've ever seen for video games, right? Like, I'm just being honest about it. So, it's kind of crazy to me that this happens the way that it did, but honestly, it's just kind of asinine that you let these companies just run full autonomy, right? And I don't like the world is insane in my opinion, for the most part. And so you have these people with crazy ideas and crazy agendas and all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of the thing that I'm looking at. I'm like looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, there's so much crazy happening in the world. Why would you let these people all have a situation where these companies can kind of see where they're coming from? Like, why would you let them just completely have run of the whole household? Like, that never made sense to me, right? Like, you've got to have and keep some control, again, to be able to kind of keep things going in a way where people are going to want it. And I'm not saying you have to have every single studio doing that, but sheesh, when you have the majority of your studio releasing stuff that's super low and super slow, why do it? So, like I said, it's just a little bit weird to me, the way that happens, and you've got to step in. Like, I don't understand how Phil could have seen, like, oh, okay, we're going to be doing these Fallout shows or whatever, and we've got no content to go out there and release. Like, that was a ridiculous form of leadership. You've got to be able to have people out there to go link this stuff up and have stuff for people to play. It just goes that simple. You know what I'm saying? If you got a Halo show, you got to have Halo the game. If you got a Gears show, Gears the game. That's the way it's got to work. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.